Hello there. I'm Black Bright News, and I don't know how many of you have heard the story about the Ghanaian pastor. He built an ark in Ghana, told everyone, or his congregation, or whoever he could reach, that the world was coming to an end and they needed to come on. They needed to sell all their, or get rid of all their material possessions and come on this ark. It was going to happen on the 25th of December. A lot of people complied. So I wanted to kind of bring it into how we ourselves can get scammed, not necessarily through a prophecy or a so-called prophecy, but in other ways. I called it When Fear Feels Like Certainty, how ordinary people get pulled into extraordinary claims. There is something about this story from Ghana that keeps unsettling me, and it isn't just the headline claim that a pastor said the world was going to end. We've heard versions of that before. What makes this one linger is the moment you realise he wasn't just speaking, he was building something, an ark, a physical structure, timber, labour, money, time, something people could point to and say, this is real. Once you see that, the question shifts. It stops being, how could anyone believe this? And becomes something much more uncomfortable. Under what conditions would I? Because most people don't sell their belongings, hand over money, or uproot their lives because they enjoy chaos. They do it because fear changes how the brain works. Fear narrows the horizon. It shortens timelines. It makes extreme actions feel reasonable, even responsible. And this is where the story stops about being a religion and starts being about us. The man at the centre of the story reportedly called himself Ebo Noah, predicted a catastrophic flood and said the end was imminent. Thousands gathered, donations flowed, the ark became a symbol of safety, and when the date passed and nothing happened, the damage wasn't just reputational. For some people, it was financial, emotional, and psychological. But here's the thing, we need to say plainly, these people weren't reckless thrill seekers. They were responding to a story that gave their fear a shape. That's how scams work, not by inventing fear, but by harvesting it. Whether it's a doomsday prophecy, an investment scheme, a romance scam, or a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, the pattern is strikingly similar. Someone identifies a pressure point, uncertainty, loneliness, economic stress, fear of missing out, and then offers certainty, not vague reassurance, but clarity, a deadline, a reason to act now. Fear loves urgency. The ark mattered because it turned anxiety into action. It wasn't just something bad is coming, it was this is how you survive it. And that is incredibly powerful. It reframes fear as wisdom, doubt as foolishness, hesitation as danger. You see this everywhere, far beyond religion. Scammers don't usually ask for everything at once. They escalate. They create a sense of progress. You've already invested time, trust, maybe money, so walking away feels like a loss. Psychologists call this escalation of commitment, but most of us know it as that gut feeling that says, I've come this far, I can't stop now. The ark created that momentum. It made belief visible. It also made dissent harder. Because once a crowd forms around and shared fear, questioning it could feel like betrayal, not just of a leader, but of the group itself. That's another crucial element. Exploitation thrives in isolation and in intense belonging. Either you're alone and desperate, or you're surrounded by people who all seem convinced. In both cases, your internal alarm system gets quieter. What's uncomfortable is realising how easily this could translate into other areas of life: financial panic, health scares, immigration fears, online misinformation. Act now or lose everything. is one of the most effective sentences ever written. And fear doesn't make people stupid, it makes them human. There's a reason why, even outside religious circles, we use language like being saved, safe haven, lifeboats, golden opportunities. These metaphors tap into something deep, a sense that danger is rising and not everyone will make it. When someone offers you a boat, you don't ask for blueprints, you climb aboard. This is where a single biblical reference actually becomes useful, not as belief, but as insight. The original Noah story has endured for thousands of years because it speaks to universal fear, being the last to know, being caught unprepared, being the one who didn't listen when it mattered. That fear didn't disappear with modernity. It just found new costumes. What makes this Ghana story so instructive is that the failure point wasn't belief, it was accountability. The claim was unfalsifiable until it wasn't. The authority was centralised, the cost of questioning was social exclusion. And when it collapsed, the burden fell on the followers, not the person who made the claim. That's a familiar pattern too. So how do we stop vulnerable people from being exploited, not just in churches, but everywhere? Not by telling them they're naive. Shame is a terrible teacher. People who feel humiliated don't become wiser, they become quieter. And silence is fertile ground for the next manipulation. What actually happens is slowing fear down, teaching people to recognise urgency as a red flag, not a virtue. Creating spaces where asking, what if this isn't true, doesn't mean you're disloyal or stupid. It also means paying attention to the conditions that make people susceptible in the first place. Economic insecurity, loneliness, chronic stress, a sense that the future is hostile and no one is looking out for you. When those pressures build up, almost any story that promises protection will sound reasonable. And perhaps the most uncomfortable truth of all, exploitation isn't an anomaly. It's a system that feeds on neglect. When people feel seen, supported and resourced, they are far less likely to cling to extreme certainty. The ark in this story wasn't just wood and nails, it was a symbol of how badly people wanted to feel safe. And that's the part we shouldn't lose sight of as this moves on to the next headline. Because tomorrow it won't be a flood, it will be something else. A different fear, a different promise, a different structure someone asks us to invest in. Emotionally, financially, psychologically. The lesson here isn't don't believe, it's notice what fear is asking you to trade away. Because fear always wants payment up front. This piece uses real news events to explore how fear, urgency and belonging can override ordinary judgment across belief systems. It's not an attack on faith, but an examination of how manipulation operates, whether vulnerability meets certainty, and why compassion, transparency and social support are the most effective safeguards. And I am Black Bright News. I try to take the drama out of what is perceived drama and try to make sense of it, and I try to translate that into some kind of cohesive form that makes sense and doesn't cause paranoia, fear or wow, what's going on here? Unfair judgment. So I'm going to stop it here. Thank you for listening, and your point of view would be appreciated. Take care now.